Are vintage guitars better? Short answer, yes. But if you want to find out why, stick around. So I have a couple vintage guitars. I have this 1965 ES330, and then I also have a 1966 SG Special. And now I'm no expert on vintage guitars. I own two, and I've played a good handful of them. But to me, I think the answer is yes. There's something magical about them, and you just have to play them to kind of understand that. There's nothing like, intrinsically different about them versus a custom shop, but once you play them, there's just like more love that went into them. You know what I mean? Everything nowadays is kind of made as cheap as possible, and back then people used to care about what they made, and every aspect of every part made on here was, people put care into. People wanted to make the best of everything, and I think that's why these guitars, in my opinion, came out so well. And now, not every vintage guitar is going to be amazing. Each guitar is completely different. And, when I bought some of my reissue guitars, I played like 8 tellies in a row. And, I ended up with one that I, felt was the best. So each one kind of has its own different characteristics. So 2 exact same spec vintage guitars are going to sound different to one another. And then, so I feel like, in my opinion, they are worth it, but I guess the question now is, are they currently worth the price? Now, I bought these guitars when they were kind of more reasonably priced and a little more affordable, so I'm happy about that. But it's crazy that these guitars now are going for, the prices of houses. Like, that's insane. And the thing about that is like, I guess if you can afford them, that's cool, but like, how could like a normal person go out and just like play those at like a gig or something? So, I'm glad that the people who play them out are playing them out, but it'd be so hard to just not like make it like a safe queen. So these guitars are meant to be played, and that's why that's why I play mine out. Anyway, so this is a 1965 ES330. It's got the 64 specs, so it's got all the good stuff you want. It's got the nickel hardware. It's got the wider nut, beautiful sunburst finish. You gotta check that one out. See if you can get it in the light there. It's just killer. And yeah, the vintage guitars to me, they just have this warmth to them that you just can't find in the custom shop. And when I got these, I was saying they were more affordable. So I was about to buy a custom shop, but then I found this for like the same price. And this was the first guitar that I had purchased without being able to play it. So I found it on Reverb, and I had it shipped from Florida. So that was kind of a hard one to take. It was the first guitar I had shipped, and first guitar I bought that I had never played before. So I feel like you gotta play guitars, but I got lucky with this one because this has been seriously probably my most favorite guitar of all the guitars that I own. So it's a funny story. I did like a whole separate video on this, but short. We'll get to the point. Is that this was owned supposedly by Tom Bukovac. And he commented on that video, and he said that he doesn't remember owning it, but he's owned so many guitars that it was possible. So, I'm going to go with he did, because Tom Bukovac's the man, and I would love to, get some of that magic on it if I could. Anyways, the story was the guy bought it from Gruen Guitars, and then he told me, this was before Tom had started his YouTube channel, so anyways, he had just told me that it was owned by him, so I kind of dig that. And that's how I found out about Tom, and I've been following him ever since. But let's go ahead and hear this thing. I'm like a bridge pickup guy, so we're going to do some bridge pickup today, and this is what the bridge pickup sounds like on this guitar. Today we're kind of going through a Deluxe Reverb. It's a vintage amp, so that really helps. It's a 1966 Deluxe Reverb, and we're mic'd up. We got the real thing here, so we're not doing any of that fake stuff that all the other guys do. Just going straight in with a chord. So here's what it sounds like. it's got some killer tones to it. I mean, this, to me, the hollow body is just adds so much more warmth. It really just makes my soul feel good. And you can kind of feel like I'm sitting pretty close to the amp. We talk about kind of like the feedback issue. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, if I was playing like this half stack, I do have a Marshall JCM 900 here, it would probably feedback, but honestly, I did a video on that, so it wasn't feedback. So I don't have a problem with it. I know some guys are like, shove them full of foam. I don't know why you would do that. I feel like that would kind of ruin the sound. And the feedback to me is just, you can kind of use it. Like, it's kind of like its own effect. So I dig it and don't have a problem with it. I mean, we're running at like 5. I guess if you were like running on 10 and just really loud and like standing towards the amp, it would just howl and scream. But, you know, we're not doing that. So we're just kind of playing, you know, reasonable volume and playing some good old blues stuff, rock and roll. But yeah, so let's go ahead and check out the SG Special now. Let me grab that. Give me a second here. Where's my roadie at? All right, so this is the 1966 SG Special. Now, this is the most recent guitar that I purchased. I bought this, I guess, 2020. So this cat up in Winter Park was selling a Super Reverb. Actually, this Super Reverb right back there, it's a 1965. So I went up there just to buy that. I felt like I needed another one because I have a silver face 68 drip edge right here, which that was like the first kind of real cool, like first vintage amp that I had. So I just had to have another, you know, got to have 2 supers. So I went up there to buy that super, and he had this guitar. So I plugged this guitar into that to kind of try it out, and I fell in love, man. I mean, what's not to love? I wasn't looking for like an SG. I mean, I hadn't really thought about one in a while. One of my first guitars was like an SG Special. Well, no, an SG Faded, so Gibson's like lowest USA model. So I still have that laying around somewhere. But I hadn't played one for years. You know, I've been playing a lot of Fenders and then that 330 for a long time. And I ended up winding up with this guitar. So I did make some adjustments. I got a new nut. The old one was worn down. I put this Music City Bridge wrap tail on it. It came with the wiggle stick, but that was just not staying in tune. So, I mean, if I could find like a bridge that worked with it, I would probably put it back on because I like that effect. But for now, this is just super solid, and it works well with this guitar. Cool sound to it. And I do like wrap tails, personally. I have a reissue 54 Gibson Les Paul, so gold top. Love that. But yeah, as far as vintage guitars go, I mean, I've played a good handful of them, and, you know, I own 2. I would say they are worth it. I mean, they're just not worth these crazy prices. So if you can find a deal, I would go for them. I mean, the other guitars I played like a 52 Telecaster, Blackguard. That was a beautiful guitar, but to be honest with you, I mean, I feel like Fenders are kind of less maybe desirable in the vintage market, in my opinion, than say like the Gibsons. Like the Gibsons, really, you can tell the difference between say the reissues and the vintage guitars, but the Fenders, you know, it's less, and you know. So, like, I had that 51 reissue Nocaster, and when I played the 52, I was so comfortable and used to playing my 51 reissue that I was like, well, this is not even as good as my reissue. But, you know, that might change if I owned it or, you know, had the time to spend with it, or maybe it just wasn't set up right. But on that day, I thought that amp or that guitar was better. And then I've also played a 57 Les Paul Special, my buddy has, and, you know, I'm still bothering him all the time, like, hey, man, can you sell that to me? But I don't know if I could afford the prices they're going for now. But that is a killer guitar, and I'd love to get my hands on that one because, again, the wrap tail thing, and, you know, I don't know what I would do. I guess they both sound different. But, yeah, the thinness of these SGs and the compactness really is great for kind of wheeling around some of these kind of little crammed in stages with too many guys on stage. So I really dig it. But let's go ahead and hear some of the sounds that are coming out of this thing. I don't know, let's play some blues. So as you can tell, it's just got a killer sound. I mean, it's hard to say which one I kind of like better. They're both like different flavors. You know, I'm really into P90 guitars. I just like kind of the fat warmness that you get out of that sound, but I do maybe lean a little bit towards a 330 just because it has like that hollow body kind ofness. It's so warm and it's killer. But you know, if you're playing like an outdoor gig or something and you're kind of worried about wind or weather or stuff like that, like got to go with the solid body. And yeah, so I just wanted to kind of share some of these guitars with you guys. Let me know in the comments, like, what do you think? First of all, do you think that vintage guitars are better? And then second of all, do you think that they're actually worth kind of the prices that they're going for these days? So let me know about that. My name is Anthony Russo. If you guys want to support the channel, I do have a tip jar down below, and it really helps me out. So I would appreciate that. You know, I'm just trying to get by, making some videos and playing some music for y'all. So if you dig the content and want to help me out to make some more, throw a couple bucks my way. I appreciate it. Subscribe, everybody. Cheers.